Greetings. The Sun, our nearest star, the source of all life. All living beings on Earth depend on the Sun. We depend on the Sun to such an extent that if it were not there, the consequences would be catastrophic. So, let's make the Sun disappear to see what happens. The Sun has vanished. The inhabitants of our planet haven't instantly realized that the Sun has ceased to exist. They will know 8.5 minutes later, the time it takes for the light produced by the star to travel through space and reach Earth. The planet plunges into the chaos of eternal night. The inhabitants of Earth, bewildered, start to turn on lights. The planets currently orbiting the Sun, including Earth, are flung out of the solar system. In fact, our solar system no longer exists, as there's no gravitational force to keep them in orbit. This means Earth is hurtling aimlessly in a straight line toward outer space at a speed of 30 kilometers per second. Electricity and fossil fuels would still be usable for a while, so cities and towns could still be illuminated by artificial sources. Without sunlight, photosynthesis would cease. 99.9% of Earth's natural productivity comes from photosynthesis, which requires the sun. Without it, plants wouldn't be able to inhale and exhale carbon dioxide to sustain life. With the end of photosynthesis, oxygen production would decrease. This means that oxygen levels would gradually drop, and we could breathe for at least a few more decades. Continuing the chain, terrestrial herbivores wouldn't survive either, as they feed on vegetation that relies on sunlight to grow. Carnivores feed on herbivores, so they also wouldn't survive if the sun stopped emitting light. Therefore, humans, who depend so much on plants and animals, would have to seek refuge underwater or underground using hydroponic farming. Let's shed light on the situation. Earth starts cooling from the very moment of the sun's disappearance. Currently, we have an average global temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, but in just 1 week without the sun, the planet's average temperature drops to 0 degrees. In a year, Earth's average temperature reaches 18 degrees below zero. The oceans are already beginning to freeze. 1 year and 7 months later, the Earth is a massive ball of ice at more than 30 degrees below zero. The seas are the safest place on the planet and a possible refuge for surviving humans. If the oceans freeze, they won't freeze entirely. Only the outer layer, the upper ice layer, acts as a thermal shield for the lower water, preserving the ocean's temperature for several hundred years. For this reason, the creation of a human underwater colony could become feasible. Finally, after thousands of years, the Earth's temperature has stopped dropping, reaching 240 degrees below zero. Humanity has ceased to exist long before this point. The intriguing thing is that in this hypothetical future, life still exists on the planet. There are ultra-resilient microorganisms adapted to low temperatures that could survive on the new Earth, but most living beings would perish. Earth becomes a wandering planet, like many that abound in space. This raises the question of what happened to those wandering planets and how they were separated from their star. Wandering planets can be expelled from their solar system in various ways, such as interactions with other planets, the proximity of a star, or when a star goes supernova. The hypothesis of losing our sun isn't entirely far-fetched. Earth could be ejected from our solar system. It's highly improbable, but it's a possibility. We are entirely dependent on the sun and all plants and animals for our survival. We are nothing more than a tiny, accidental form of life, very fragile and with a very brief existence, destined for extinction. The sun might not turn off today, but one day it will. Plants and animals might still live for a long time. However, at the current rate, humanity will have disappeared long before the sun goes out. Let's hope we learn from our mistakes and become a true civilization of the cosmos. We still have a chance to save ourselves. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe, share it on social media, and leave your comment.